gentlemen, live here at Lou Scales Stadium, Death Valley in Alexandria, Alabama. It's Road to the Blue Mat, presented by the Alabama Army National Guard. Nick Wilson, Josh Abercrombie, Reggie Davis, and Bo Starkey. Gentlemen, we are sitting in the end zone here at Lou Scales Stadium, and as everybody out there on Facebook and YouTube can see, behind us, chairs await the fans of the Valley Cubs to watch as A.H. Parker travels out of Birmingham all the way here to Calhoun County. It's going to be a wonderful game. It's our Alabama Army National Guard game of the week. But before we get to that breakdown, which is going to be later on in the show, we've got several other games to break down in 1A all the way through 7A, and we've got a lot of great segments lined up for you guys. We have an interview with Mr. Jason Deason, the principal of Alexandria High School, about something very special coming up on our Flavors of Friday Night segment. We also have an incredible breakdown from coaches Michael Short and Shay Monroe about these two teams that are going to battle it out here tonight. And we also sit down with the man, the myth, the legend, the beard, Coach Todd Ginn of the Alexandria Valley Cubs. It's going to be awesome, gentlemen. I'm so thankful to be here with you guys tonight. And a quick shout-out to all the men and women who have served. Yesterday was Veterans Day. And we really do appreciate our presenting sponsors, the Alabama Army National Guard, for all that they have done, both in helping us get this show off the ground, but also in protecting and serving all of us every single day. So shout out to them. And if you're interested, contact your local recruiter. We'll actually have some information if you want to message us on any of our social media platforms as well. We can get you in touch with the Alabama Army National Guard. But let's go ahead and break down some games, guys. In 1A, we're going to start out with 1A. We've got 9-2 Decatur Heritage Christian traveling all the way to Raglan, Alabama to take on the Purple Devils, who are also at 9-2. The Purple Devils coming off a relatively close win when you look at the rest of their regular season scores against Valleyhead last week. They defeated Valleyhead prior in the regular season, but last week Valleyhead gave them a run for their money. Reggie, what is Raglan going to have to do to contain this very intense Decatur Heritage Christian team?
The Purple Devils, they're going to have to control the time of possession, control the clock, and just do what Raglan does. They're a very great team. Wes Tidwell's been there. It's his first year. He took over a very great team. So, Raglan's a very tough team. Their only two losses are to Winterboro and Wadley, two very, very tough teams. So.
Well, speaking of Wadley, actually, this next game we've got here, Wadley sitting at 10-1 on the season going into week 2. Tonight they take on an 8-2 Hubertville? Yes. Hubertville.
I call it Hubertville.
I think everybody calls it Hubertville, but, it's tomato, I guess. We'll have to get somebody on from Hubertville to tell us what it is. But, yes, so break it down for us.
This is going to be your classic something's got to give game. You have two very high-scoring, potent offenses with very stingy defenses. Hubertville is averaging 35 and giving up 14 a game. Wadley is averaging 39, giving up 11. So Wadley is the number 1 seed out of Region 5, 1A Region 5, and that's the region that swept its way 1, 2, 3, 4 all the way to the second round. So
wow, very impressive.
Hubertville has their work cut out for them. I suspect Wadley, which I said at midway through the season that I felt like Wadley was going to make a real good push for the ring. I think they may be in Auburn.
And I've got it on record from, well, technically I guess off record from a coach that of a team that we've just talked about. I'm not going to out him, but he really thinks that Wadley is going to make a strong run for it and that they're going to have a chance at the ring in 1A. Now, Let's kind of shift gears. We've talked about a lot of teams with some great records. Let's look at a team that's got a very interesting record here in 1A. No shade being thrown here, but this 4-7 Woodland team. We've seen crazier things in high school football, but this team, obviously, they've discovered something. They want something. 4-7, and they host an 8-3 Meek team in the second round of the playoffs. This is crazy.
It is. I said it last week. Cannot look at their record. We saw these guys play in the spring. They have very talented athletes. Coach Blair Armstrong does a great job getting his guys ready. He coached in Georgia, won a couple of state championships over there, so he knows what it takes to win this time of the year. With guys like Parker Woodham in his backfield, they're going to get it done. So this could be a very dangerous team and a very dangerous matchup for Meek tonight.
we have a 7-4 Winterboro squad traveling to Pickens County, who currently sit at 9-2. Two very interesting teams when you look at the stat breakdown and when you look at what they've got on their rosters. But Josh, what's this game going to look like at Pickens County tonight?
Pickens County, they're going to have to get quarterback Javion Bell going early. Last week he had 250 total yards, 2 passing touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. And same thing for Winterboro. They're going to have to stop him if they want to win this game. You may not be able to stop him, but you at least need to contain him and maybe have that bend, don't break mentality. But Winterboro, even though they're 7-4, Winterboro is the 2 seed out of that very tough Region 5 that swept. So that's a tough region.
So you can't look at the record. The record's not everything there, not when it's a region that tough.
No.
Let's go ahead and let's transition to 3A ball. We're not skipping 2A. We're going to get back to it, but let's go ahead and get into 3A. My man with a plan, Bo Starkey. We've got this undefeated Catholic Montgomery team traveling all the way to Bayside Academy, who sits 9-2. That's a serious drive. That's an I-65 drive. That's what, a 3-4-hour trek for those guys all the way down to Bayside Academy. What's this game going to look like here for this undefeated squad? Can Catholic Montgomery maintain this momentum they've carried on into the playoffs?
Well, first thing I'm going to tell all you guys to put your seatbelt on, because I'm about to throw some stats at you. It's going to blow your mind. Okay, it's going to be a little bit deeper dive. It's the first time we got to talk about these guys. I got to look through their stats, and I seen something very incredible. The first thing that jumps off the page is they've scored 557 points, and they've given up 27 points.
Gentlemen, that's
They've pitched
wow.
7 shutouts on the season, okay? The most points they've given up all year is 7 in a game, and that was to the 4th-ranked Trinity, who was unbeaten before they rolled them 52-7 in that game.
There you go, Trinity.
So now, Trinity stepped up. They had
they got them a touchdown.
They've had 2 what you would call we're going to see where we're at moments this year, and both of those games were 50-something to 7 games, right? Now the other one was against Montgomery Academy, which everybody knows. Coach Gary Nelson from Southside came from there. Now I'm going to throw a few stats at you from players that's going to blow your mind as well. Caleb McCready, quarterback, has 1,600 yards, 23 touchdowns, and only 3 picks on the season. And what's interesting about that is he's thrown to 15 different targets. 15 different targets he's thrown to. There's not a guy that has over 600 yards on the team receiving. There's multiple guys that he's hitting.
The defensive coordinator for Bayside can't say, okay, we've got this guy to key on, this guy. It's anybody. Anybody's ball.
Here's the other portion of that. He's only played in 1 4th quarter all year.
Wow.
Now, this is really fixing to jump off the page at you, and it's going to be something that's really I had to recheck these stats, and I talked to Coach Juice Johnson actually yesterday. He and I talked last night for a while. Listen to this. Jeremiah Cobb, the running back, has rushed for 1,700 yards, 26 touchdowns. He's now sitting at 2,245 total yards and 34 touchdowns.
That's video game numbers.
He's played in 1 4th quarter all season.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous.
I really think that the key to victory for Bayside is getting AC Slater to pass his test, right, so he can come out at halftime.
Hey, if that happens, albeit, Josh, I'm going to say that's true. Now, I'm going to throw a few more things, then we're going to get out of this game. Here's the scary part. Both of those guys are back next year. One's a sophomore, the quarterback is a sophomore, and the other one is a junior. Jeremiah Cobb, the running back, is a junior.
So look for him to have an explosive season next year.
And oh, by the way, they're not even the best player on the team. That's T.J. Bull Dudley, who's going to Oregon, 4-star. This is a very scary team in 3A. I don't care north, south, put them east or west. It don't matter. Catholic Montgomery is a serious, serious contender.
They're going to make a strong run for that state championship ring. So keep a lookout for Montgomery Catholic.
Let me tell you this. T.J. Dudley, linebacker, he comes out of the tunnel flipping.
Yeah, he does a flip.
Wow.
Josh seen it on film and called me. He's like, what in the world is going on?
I mean, what's happening down there in Montgomery, man?
Yeah,
hey, I've got notes here for Bayside Academy real fast. The first thing I wrote down was good luck. Reggie can see what I'm saying. Good luck. You know, with what I just told you. They did beat Southside, Selma. That's why we have to say Southside Gadsden last week by 1 point. All right, in a tough game. And they're not a bad team. They scored 344 and only gave up 177 on the season. But you're going up against a juggernaut this week.
a juggernaut that's going to make a strong run for the state championship. Speaking of somebody else that's traditionally over the past couple of years always made a strong run for the state championship in 3A, who defeated Montgomery Catholic last year in the state championship game in a very good game. 5, sitting at 9-1, has to travel to Blount County to play an 8-3 JB Pennington squad.
That game is very interesting. And I said this, I wrote this down, Reggie can see it. Reggie's become buddies with them. He's went out and seen those guys, and they have a great team over there.
They do.
A couple of guys, Hayden Floyd, the senior quarterback, he's a very good dual threat guy.
He is.
A long rangey guy with a nice arm who can run and throw. He's got a lot of weapons. Williams, the running back, number 32, is a senior.
Yep.
He's as good on defense as he is on offense. So he's a very good player as well. They're very good. They've won some games off special teams, and that's huge in the playoffs. And let me tell you why it's huge in this game, because that's Fife's Achilles heel this year. They are not very good in the kicking game, albeit punting or field goal kicking. They've had their struggles all season in that part. But what Fife has done well is they've had the emergence of more than, one or two runners. Logan Anderson's really burst onto the scene. He was a player of the week of ours like 2 weeks ago. You also have Brody Hicks, who's come on, who was there last year, who did really well. And, of course, the always steady, best haircut in the state, Kyle Dukes, is there as well. Now, Fife's defensive front, I do believe, is going to be the difference in this game for them. I think they have a strong advantage, their defensive front versus Pennington's offensive line. And at the end of the day, guys, Fife has a 59-game home winning streak now. That is still intact. And they also have scored in 289 consecutive football games, longest streak in the state record.
Wow.
How well do you think Fife will play tonight? Do you think they will play?
Do you want the Benefield answer or the real one?
Do you think they'll play to the best of their ability? Or?
They'll do the best they can.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead real quick. Let's go ahead and get to this 10-1 Lauderdale County team traveling from what seems like forever away all the way to a 9-2 Piedmont squad right here in Calhoun County where we currently sit. That's just right down the road. Let's get this game broken down. What can Lauderdale County do to try to stop this Piedmont Bulldog team?
It's a Lauderdale County team that's 10-1, but when you Piedmont's 9-2, but you look at the records. Their opponents, Piedmont's opponent's record is 64-50. Lauderdale County's is 53-64. Piedmont, of course, out of that tough Region 5, which went 3-1 in the first round. It's one of those things that's kind of an anomaly. And here's the thing: in the second round games, Piedmont is 9-1 at home, and Lauderdale County's 5-5 on the road. So.
So the odds are in Piedmont's favor.
I would say so, and I think this Piedmont team has got a chip on their shoulder. I don't think they appreciated traveling in that first round. It is not what they're used to.
We'll find out here. Don't forget to stay tuned for the Road to the Blue Map halftime update presented by the Alabama Army National Guard as well. We'll give you some halftime score updates when we get to that at the halftime of this game here. But let's go ahead and move on. This 9-2 Oakman squad, again, traveling from one side of the state all the way here to Calhoun County to Sax, who are currently 10-1, literally right down the road. What do we have, Reggie?
Oh, man. Sax was in a shootout last week with Plainview. They won that game 46-43. Plainview apparently had their guys that were injured back for this game, and it showed. So, but Oakman's a great team. I've got to know Coach Ryan Hall over there at Oakman. He's done a great job building that program, and he's going to have his guys ready. Got to see them play some last year and during the summer. A lot of talent on that team. He's got a great quarterback. This is going to be another tough game for Sax this week, but
we'll see what they can do. We'll see what they can do.
3A. There is no easy games.
No,
Absolutely.
right.
Man, you ain't lying, Joe.
And speaking of a not-so-easy game, this 9-2 Ohatchee squad, who comes off of an incredible victory last week, that was our game of the week last week, they have to travel to Winfield, who are currently undefeated.
Winfield is a very tough team. They are averaging 45 points a game and allowing 5 points per game. 5.
That is crazy.
Wow.
They've had 6 shutouts this season.
Yeah.
One shy of the 7 that Montgomery had. They met last year in the second round of the playoffs. Ohatchee won 54-27. So this is a Winfield team that probably has a pretty good chip on its shoulder. They're ready to get some revenge. Winfield head coach David McKinney, you may remember him. He was the head coach at Gordo from 2007 to 2012. And he's been at Winfield since 2013. He's been coaching 15 years, and he's never had a losing season, and he's only missed the playoffs once.
That's incredible.
There's something to say about consistency.
That's incredible.
That's crazy.
So
Did you say 15 years?
yes,
Oh, that's incredible.
crazy.
never had a losing season, and only failed to make the playoffs 1 year. Now, Ohatchee, Winfield is very good, but Ohatchee is going to look to use the Ugly Eagle to control the clock.
Absolutely.
And that's one thing. They're going to try to shorten the game. Ohatchee just needs to make sure that it's a ball game at half, because guess what? Ohatchee is a second half team.
Yes.
We saw that last week.
Yes.
Eli Enos.
Enos, number 4.
Now, Winfield has not given up more than 14 points in any game. I'll be interested to see how Winfield reacts if this is a close game. They haven't had a close game just yet.
Josh, real quick, if you had to go Enos versus Duke, just hair, what
Just
would the line
hair?
be?
I don't know. That's kind of like an immovable object versus
an
unstoppable. Yeah, I mean,
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
it's just not
I just had to
fair.
know your opinion on that. Go ahead.
Mad respect.
Good question.
It is.
You see my hair. I'm not. I don't have the authority to judge them two. So
Hey, but by the way, thank you for your service. Josh is a Marine, everybody.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Once a Marine, always a Marine. Go ahead.
yeah, still practicing a mental. Deanna tells me all the time that, hey, you may have been a Marine, but we were not. But yeah, Ohatchee needs to. They've got a tough road, but they will be ready. I think they've got an offense and a defense that matches up well.
Right.
Let's see how Winfield reacts when it's a game.
Right. No doubt.
All right, so that ends and concludes our 3A breakdown. Folks, stay right there. We're not going anywhere, I guess, that you wouldn't want us to go. Okay, we're going to be right here, but we've got a great Flavors of Friday Night segment presented by the Alabama Army National Guard coming at you real quick. Reggie Davis sits down with the principal of Alexandria High School, Mr. Jason Deason, to explain what we're about to do next.
All right, guys, welcome to our Friday Night Flavor segment. We're here at Alexandria High School with Principal Jason Deason. If you've never been to Alexandria, you're in for a treat at their concession stand. They have what you call a valley dog. My first time down here last year, I talked to Coach Mr. Deason, and he told me about the valley dogs and said it was a must-try. So he got one for me, and I tried it, and I am hooked ever since. Tell us a little bit about the history of the valley dog and how they came about.
I'm a Glencoe boy. I'm a transplant, so they don't tell me everything. But it has been something that has been going on for decades and decades. And depending on who you talk to in the community, they have their own spin on it. Some of them have their own tweaks to the recipe. But it has been a staple to all the concession stands here in the valley for a very long time. It's not just an Alexandria thing. You know, you talk to people from different communities, and they talk about the valley dogs. You know, so it's well known outside of the valley, and it's been something that's been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, it's something like I said, I didn't hear about it until I came to my first game last fall, and like I said, ever since then I've been hooked. Tell us about the recipe. Do you know the secret to the recipe of the sauce?
No, That'd be one of those things I could tell you, but then I'd have to bury you. They're very particular about it, and you know, it's funny about how it is, because depending on which concession stand that you go to, whether it's a baseball game, whether it's a basketball game, football game, they all have a spin on it. You know, they all taste the same, but you can almost tell that there's a little bit of a little change in them depending on where you're at. I've kidded around with Coach Ginn and, you know, Miss Muncher and some of these people that have been in Alexandria. They have roots. You know, what's in it? And they're like, oh, it's a secret. And you know, so it's fruitless for me to even attempt it. You know, it is what it is. There are people in this community that probably have it locked up in a safe behind bars or something, because it's that. People are very, very proud of it.
So does each sport make up their own batch for
for their home games here?
Yeah, you can go to baseball game, softball game, the basketball game. You know, they're volleyball. You know, Coach Welch, Zach Welch, will be in the concession stand a lot of times. During volleyball season, while his wife Whitney is out there coaching, and they got a crock pot full of Valley dogs. You know, they're in there making it, and then Miss Muncher, our media specialist, she heads up to the football field on Friday nights. Let her go up there a little early because she starts making them. I mean, it's a process. I mean, you know, people buy them by double fisting handfuls while they're here. But it is everywhere you go. Athletics wise, here you'll see it, and I'm sure if you went to Thanksgiving dinner somewhere in Alexandria, they'd probably have it on the table too.
Now, I've heard a rumor, and I don't know if this is true, but I was told that you could buy the Valley Dog sauce in stores in Alexandria. Is that true?
I don't think so. I'm pretty sure people have had conversations about doing that, but I think the process of getting it to that point is probably what's holding some people back.
Right.
Plus, like I told you, you know, football sauce may be a little bit different than baseball sauce, but it's still the Valley sauce. It's the core component is still there. And there's a guy that helps with football. He helps mow the field. He's a big Alexandria guy, and he's a friend of mine, Ben Phillips. Okay. And when I was assistant principal at Chilton County, Chilton County played Alexandria. You know, this was way before I came here, and I came down and I went to the concession stand and asked for a hot dog. And I came back to the end zone, and it had stuff on it. And he was with me, you know, he was Alexandria then, I was Chilton County, and I was like, what did they put all over my hot dog? He was like, that's Valley sauce, man. You got a Valley dog. I tried it, and I'm like, well, there you go. You know, stepped out of my comfort zone a little bit and tried it, and I think that's what a lot of people do, and they get hooked.
Yeah, that was the case with me when I tried it last year, and I was like, yeah, this is good stuff. You don't need any extra condiments on it, just the sauce, and that's it.
Yep. And I think there's a lot of people that try to imitate it. You know, there may be some people in there trying to get their own little flair out of it, but it's not going to be. It's not the true OG. It's not the Valley sauce.
And I've also, since I've been coming to Alexandria, I've noticed the band concession stand seems to be pretty popular. We've talked about that a little bit.
Yeah, you know, every Friday night you can get fresh squeezed lemonade. You know, they make it right there at the concession stand. Here lately, they've just made bags and bags and bags of fresh pork rinds, and you know, I'm telling you, they usually have them in barbecue. They usually have them in original. And gosh, I mean, when we played Leeds for the region title a couple weeks ago, good luck getting through those masses, because there was people wanting their lemonade, and there was people wanting their Valley dogs, and they're wanting their pork rinds. They have both concession stands. I mean, they both have a good setup, and you can get a hot dog, you can get a Valley dog, and you can get some pork rinds as a side. So we got a little bit of everything.
Yeah, and that's got to be a great thing to have, because we go to a lot of stadiums, and I personally like to try a concession stand when I go to a new stadium, and so far I think Alexandria is probably my favorite at this point. So.
Well, good. You know, we got a Valley dog waiting on you anytime you come over here. You know, we appreciate everything that you guys do, and it's, you know, to be honest with you, a lot of people they love football, they love band. You know, they come out on Friday nights, but when you got an extra component where you can skip dinner and actually get full at the football game on Friday night, I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. I'm telling you, it's funny sometimes. You'll be standing in the end zone and you'll be talking to somebody, and then they'll walk off, and you won't think about it. You'll be watching the game, and when they come back, it's just those aluminum wrappers. It's just Valley dog, Valley dog, Valley dog, Valley dog. So you look, I mean, you know, they sell out of them every Friday night.
They do. I told a friend of mine last week, I said, hey, if you want a Valley dog, you better get it now, because by the second half, you won't be able to get one. And he loved it. Me personally, I try to get here early just so I can have a Valley dog and some cheese fries. And now I've got to try this lemonade this week. So
yeah, lemonade hits the spot. You know, I'm usually validating tickets and helping people in the gate right there, and a lot of times I'll have a big 32-ounce cup full of blue lemonade, raspberry lemonade, and I'll be hitting people's tickets. You know, come on in. I'll get you some lemonade right here about it. Get you some pork rinds, and it's a good thing. We got a good thing going on here for sure.
Good deal. Well, Mr. Deason, I appreciate you sitting in with us. We look forward to this game tonight. It's going to be a great game between you guys and Parker. Good luck. We're going to try these Valley Dogs now.
For bringing these over and having these ready, as well as Jason Deason and Reggie, thank you for getting all this squared away. This is awesome. This is a Valley Dog. We're going to try this on air. So, Bo, you've never had one.
No, Bo
Josh
has had one, actually.
Oh, you have had one?
Yeah, I've got something to say about it as well.
Go ahead, man. Preach the word.
I've eaten the Dodger Dog in Los Angeles. The Dodger Dog can't touch the Valley Dog.
Wow.
Had them both. Not even close.
Wow, that's pretty.
So let's see what this is about. I know this is what y'all tuned in for, was to watch us try this.
Yeah.
If y'all, I don't know if y'all can see that. I don't know which camera I'm on. It's on the main cam. So there we go. Look at
no condiments.
Exactly. It's a special kind of sauce. We don't know what's in it, do we?
No, we don't know.
All right. So there's that.
Actually,
if you can see that.
It's called a little slice of heaven.
Hey, this is the sloppy Joe of hot dogs.
Which anytime something is that messy, it's great.
It is. This is great. I was hooked. I was hooked from the first time I had one.
This is amazing.
It's kind of a vinegar
This is awesome.
based.
I don't know what it is, but it's great. This guys, get out here right now. If you're sitting on your couch not doing anything, get out to Death Valley, Lou Scales Stadium tonight to watch our game of the week presented by the Alabama Army National Guard and get you a Valley Dog.
Get it early because they sell out quick.
It's not barbecue sauce. It's
something delicious. I don't know what it is.
yeah. I don't know. It's
Shout out to you, Alexandria. This is great. Guys, we've got us. They're telling me we got to go to commercial. Stay tuned. We've got some more breakdowns coming your way. 2A and 6A coming your way here in a second. Bo Starkey, Reggie Davis, Josh Abercrombie, Nick Wilson. You're watching Road to the Blue Mat presented by the Alabama Army National Guard. We're going to enjoy these Valley Dogs. We'll see you after the break.
What do you mean enjoy? It's gone.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Staff Sergeant Ergel,
And my name's Staff Sergeant Aldridge.
and we're here today with the Alabama Army National Guard.
Fun fact, do you know what football cleats and combat boots have in common? They both need to be filled.
That's right, Sergeant Aldridge. And at the Alabama Army National Guard, we're looking for qualified individuals to join our team.
In exchange for your part-time service, we offer over $20,000 a year in tuition assistance, over 200 job opportunities with hands-on training in a field of your choice.
With the Alabama Army National Guard, you can work here, live here, and serve here.
If you are interested in learning more about what the Alabama Army National Guard has to offer, give us a call on one of the numbers down below. And remember,
Go Guard!
Are back. You're watching Road to the Blue Mat presented by the Alabama Army National Guard. Josh Abercrombie, Bo Starkey, Reggie Davis, Nick Wilson. Welcome back in. We're going to get into this breakdown real quick. We've got 2A and 6A we're going to break down here. Don't worry, if we haven't done your classification, we're going to get to it. But right now we're going to focus on 2A. Speaking of 2A, Aliceville 8-3 traveling to Spring Garden, undefeated. Spring Garden, one of the only teams left in the state that is undefeated.
Yep.
So what do we have here, my good man Reggie? By the way, if again, we just did that Flavors of Friday Night segment. If you didn't get to see that, if you're just now tuning in, go back and rewind it and watch that because I've got my Valley Dog right here, and I want to compete. And we got to do the show.
Barbecue sauce on our face. That's why.
It's amazing.
Well, we don't know if it's barbecue
Josh,
sauce.
It's
I
something.
wouldn't call it barbecue sauce.
Yeah, it's
the
not
people over
barbecue
here are going to
sauce.
come take us out if you say
Exactly.
But
It's something
if
good.
You say exactly what I've done, figured it out. I know
He's got Superman's taste buds.
There you go.
So Aliceville 8-3 at Spring Garden 11-0. What do we have here in this matchup tonight, Reggie?
Oh, man, I like this matchup. You got a very explosive Aliceville team. Another group that we kind of met over the summer, met those coaches. Great guys.
Great.
Yeah, super great guys. Spring Garden, they're on our show on a regular basis on Monday nights. Coach Jason Howard does a great job having those guys ready. This is going to be one of those matchups, like earlier, something's got to give. Both teams are averaging over 30 points a game. Defensively, Aliceville's giving up 19 points. Spring Garden's 11. Something's got to give. This is going to be a great matchup. I'm looking forward to see how this one's going to turn out tonight.
Speaking of a great matchup, we've got an explosive Cleveland squad sitting at 9-2, traveling to a 9-2 midfield squad. This game should be one for the second round ages. Josh, what do we have?
Both teams very good defensively. Both of them allowing just 15 points per game. However, offensively, Cleveland is putting up 45 points per game, and midfield is averaging about 30. Cleveland, they played in a very tough region, which has Spring Garden, themselves, Southeastern, and Sandrock. So that is a very tough region. I thought Sandrock was a fantastic, great team, and they ended up 4 seed. Morris Hill Bible first round. So Cleveland's opponent's record is 65-51. Midfield's opponent is 45-69. So that goes to show that it's a little bit tougher schedule for Cleveland.
Yeah.
If you put stock in this, which I don't put a whole lot of stock in it, Cleveland is 1-8 all time in the second round, and they're actually 0-5 away. So, but I think that's different teams. I don't think that is this team. I think Coach Gilliland has done a fantastic job of getting them ready and preparing them. I expect them to make a big push for the championship game.
Let's go ahead and shift gears real quick to another Blount County squad. The Southeastern Mustangs had to go through some forfeitures earlier in the season, but they're currently sitting at 7-4. They travel to Soligent, who also sits at 7-4. What's this matchup going to look like?
This is the rare 3 seed versus the 4 seed in the second round. So they both went and took care of business against the 1 and 2 seed. Soligent beat number 1 seed Pisgah, while Southeastern beat number 2 Lexington last week. Southeastern is 7-4 on paper. Now on the field they're 9-2. This is Southeastern's first ever trip to the second round, but they've only been around since 2012. So it's uncharted territory, but I think they're ready to make a big push.
Let's go ahead and get into this 8-3 Tanner squad traveling to Mars Hill Bible, also sitting at 8-3. Bo, can you give us a little insight into what Mars Hill is going to have to do to make it to the next round?
Yeah, the thing about Mars Hill, man, they're star heavy. They got some stars that really jump off the page at you. So much so that Damian Thompson just got offered by Georgia. The wide receiver, number 2, is a dynamic player. Kobe Keenan, everybody knows who that is, 4-star. He's been offered by everybody and their cousin. Alabama, Auburn, you name it, he's been offered. Leaning towards Notre Dame at this point. But the guy who really makes them go, honestly, the guy who has the biggest motor on the teams, Jake McCluskey, he's number 73. He's a little bit undersized as a lineman. He's not as big as Keenum, but he has the heart of a lion. He's a really big, high-energy guy, high performer for them. Another guy that really jumps off the page is Sam Williams. He's a linebacker, tight end guy that really plays very physical. The big run stopper for them, and they run a hybrid type offense, wing tee, where they throw out of it a lot. They're going to score points. Now, an interesting thing about them, here's one thing that people look at. They're both 8-3. Here's the difference. Mars Hill lost to American Christian, Coleman, and Jasper. You play games like that, you may lose them, but they get you ready for moments like this. Where you flip it around to Tanner, who's also 8-3, their losses is to Ardmore, Lexington, and Pisgah. So when you read between the lines, that tells you a lot about this game coming in. Coach Oscar Bonds has done a great job at Tanner. He's a great football coach. They started 0-2, but since that moment they've went 8-1. So they've caught momentum heading into these playoffs. But when you go up a team versus Mars Hill, when you go up against those guys, that's a different animal. That's a defending state champion who's been in the last 3 state championship games and won 2 out of 3. And so, even though they moved up in classification, they still won it last year.
Wow. They've been to the dance, and they haven't forgotten how to tango.
That's right.
That's really important to remember here in the second round.
Nick.
Absolutely. Let's go ahead and transition into 6A ball here. We've got a 10-1 Briarwood squad traveling to an undefeated Clay Chalkville team. What does this matchup look like? Bo, you're back on the hot seat. Let's give us another great breakdown.
Okay, the thing about this game right here that's really interesting, Briarwood and Clay Chalkville could be the game of the week in the state as very well as this one right here is. This is two very good teams, and between the two teams, there's been one loss, okay? And that loss was to Mountain Brook, and that'd be Briarwood, 14-0, a very competitive game. What jumps off the page at you right here is Clay Chalkville. They seem to be on a mission this year. They're a team that does it, let's quote-unquote, the right way, right? They do it with Clay Chalkville kids. They do it the right way. They groom those kids. They coach them up. Coach Matt Glover is one of the best defensive coordinators in the state. Also, Drew Gilmer, head coach, is another guy who just works really well with his staff in general. He motivates his guys to play. Khalil Johnson, the quarterback, obviously Louisville commit, is fantastic quarterback. He gets the ball out to the right guys. One of those is Squirrel. Everybody knows who this guy is. He's a Tennessee commit. Marquise White is his name, and he's caught 900 yards. He's had 900 yards in receiving this year and 15 touchdowns. But I think the most underrated player in this state is Ed Osley, the running back at Clay Chalkville. And I've said that since day one because when you go break down film on this guy, he never gets tackled by one guy. And we're talking about 6A football when there's dudes everywhere. He is an animal. You cannot bring him down. His balance, his agility, his vision is very good. He has 1,300 yards rushing on the season and 20 touchdowns. Last week they beat Decatur 42-0. They have 5 shutouts on the season. They're peaking at the right time. Now, when you flip this thing over and you look at Briarwood, their one loss is coming to Mountain Brook. That's nothing to hold your head about. No. Chris Yeager and company is one of the odds
phenomenal ball club. Yep. Phenomenal ball club.
Might be the best overall X's and O's coach in the state. Could be. He's a phenomenal coach. Now here's the difference. Last week they beat Fort Payne 35-12. A lot of people around here is very familiar with that. They've beat some good teams this year. They beat Madison Academy, who we've talked about, or going to talk about. They've beat Homewood. But this is not either one of those. This is a different animal. This Clay Chalkville team, especially at home, is going to be a very, very tough out.
Let's go ahead and look at this 6-5 Homewood squad as they move and travel to Gardendale, sitting at 9-2. This is an interesting second-round matchup, too, in my opinion. Reggie, what is Homewood going to have to do to make an impact at Gardendale in a hostile environment to advance to this third round?
Quarterback Woods Ray, that's the key. He has been out for a couple of weeks, and he's back. And Homewood was back to form last week in their first-round win. I don't think many people saw them beating Arab the way they did. Arab's a very great team. I was shocked when I saw that score.
Well-coached squad. Coach O is doing a great job with that Arab team.
He's doing a great job. Arab is going to be a team to watch out for in the future. But quarterback Woods Ray will have to make plays with his arm and his leg. He's done that all season. If he can do that, Homewood may pull off another shocker. But Gardendale, on the other hand, upset the number 2 ranked team in 6A last week at Hartselle. Very, very, very dangerous team.
They want it.
They do.
They want it.
They do.
Good point, Reggie.
And this game is going to be, to me, I think it's one of the key games in Class 6A because these teams are both dangerous when they're on fire.
We have got a 9-2 Jackson Olin squad, talent everywhere, traveling to the 10-1 Mountain Brook Spartans. And this is going to be interesting. What is Chris Yeager and company going to do to protect Spartan Stadium?
A lot of people, when they hear the name Mountain Brook, they look at the points that they put up. But I'm telling you, as goes the defense, as goes Mountain Brook. In the last 5 games, they've had 4 shutouts. In 9 of their 11 games, they've had 6 shutouts. They had 1 game where they allowed 3 points. And 2 games where they allowed 7.
Wow.
So,
those numbers, they speak for themselves, people.
Yeah,
they speak for themselves.
So they gave up 82 points all year long, 51 to Thompson, like I said last week. So
stupid.
That's, now, Jackson Olin, they do come from a very good region, which Region 6 swept the first round. That's got Clay Chalkville, Jackson Olin, Pinson Valley, Gardendale. Very good region all around.
Wow.
Yeah. So, now, one thing I did notice, Jackson Olin, they have a defensive tackle by the name of Nicholas Barnes, 6'2", 285, demands a double team, and he can be a game changer if you let him. He is a monster.
Jackson Olin, they have huge guys like that year in, year out.
So we've got a team beloved here in this next breakdown in 6A, the last breakdown in 6A.
Yeah.
A team beloved by our very own Kevin Moore. A huge fan of Sam Adams, head coach of the Oxford Yellow Jackets, currently sitting at 7-4, traveling to this 8-3 Pinson Valley team. What's this game going to look like, guys?
It's going to look like this. These two teams have hooked up. They're very familiar with each other. Sam Adams has done a phenomenal job this year. He's got this team at 7-4, and who would have thought that when they had the transfers out and then on top of that the injuries? But let me throw something at you. Their losses this year, they've had some key losses, but let me throw their non-region at you. This is why you play teams like this for moments like this. Non-region, Thompson, Pleasant Grove, Central Phoenix City, and Gadsden City. That is their non-region games, okay? So when you play teams like that, you're getting ready for moments like this. So you're not – no stage is too big when that's your non-region, okay? The toughest non-region in the state. I will put my house on that, okay? So when you say that, but then you look across the field and you're looking at the defending 6A champs who has a returning quarterback, Zach Pyron. You have Mike Sharp back. You have guys all over the field for Sam Shade and Pinson Valley. The difference is they don't look the same this year. And what I mean by that, they've given up 259 points already this year. Last season in 15 games, they gave up 241 points. They've had a lot of movement on their defensive staff, and I think that attributes to that. They had some guys move in and things like that. Last week, they did beat Muscle Shoals, and a lot of people predicted them to lose that game. They did pull it out, 28-21. But, you know, if Sam Adams was to win this game, they need to build a bronze statue for the guy.
I was thinking that.
Because, I mean, what else does the guy got to do? And I'm telling you right now, I think Oxford has more than a puncher's chance in this game. They do. Even though they're on the road, they're finally healthy with the guys they got, and Sam Adams wants to go to battle with the guys he has.
I'll tell you this, and I mean this as a compliment. If you would have told me 7-4, I would have laughed.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
I did not think that was possible. And I honestly, if he won 6A Coach of the Year, I think it's well deserved.
There's a lot of evidence in that argument.
No. They hit their stride at the right time.
No doubt.
They hit their stride at the right time.
And that's going to be a game to watch, folks. But real quick, before we go to commercial break, we have got a segment of all segments coming up for you guys. The head coach of the Asheville Bulldogs, Shay Monroe, and former head coach of the Cleburne County Tigers, Michael Short, are going to break down our game of the week. Here we are in Lou Scales Stadium, Death Valley in Alexandria, Alabama. Getting ready to host, the lights are about to come on, getting ready to host Parker and Alexandria here tonight for round 2 in 5A. So stay tuned, watch this segment. These two coaches are going to break down these two teams and what they've got going for us tonight in this game. You're watching Road to the Blue Mat presented by the Alabama Army National Guard.
Hey guys, we're back with the Coach's Chalk Talk. Week 2, we've got the Alexandria Valley Cubs versus the Parker Thundering Herd. I'm Shay Monroe, head football coach of the Asheville Bulldogs, joined by my good friend, Coach Michael Short. Coach, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. Glad to be here.
Good to see you. All right, so this week, a little bit different than last week. It's not as a mirrored image of everybody as it was last week. So, you know, Coach, you've had a lot of experience facing Alexandria from your time at Cleburne County. You know, we know what a rivalry that was. Just kind of take us through the Alexandria offense.
Well, you can tell that Coach Todd Ginn, took a lot from his daddy, Coach Larry Ginn. Because offensively, one of the first things you have to look at as a football team is you got to be ready for them to run the wing tee. And the reason they're successful running the wing tee is a lot like we talked about last week, like Fife and their offense, kind of a throwback. The wing tee is a throwback in Alabama. It's not in Georgia, but it is in Alabama. But the wing tee is so successful now is because defensively people are so used to seeing spread offenses. So now they got these hybrid outside linebackers that are more like DBs. Right. And they have to play out in space. Well, Alexandria can line up in the wing tee, and their tight end or their Y can play a traditional Y tight end and block down on people and be successful doing it. But then all of a sudden they can flex him out wide. Right. So you got to, without people, because, you know, as a coach, you're standing on the sidelines and you're trying to find these people coming in and out of the game, and you try to say, hey, here comes our personnel, we got to get these people in the game. Right. They don't change personnel. So they can get in from the wing tee to the spread, or open trips or anything like that. So Parker's going to have to be able to line up and take a smaller guy and come up here now and play a 9 technique, and that's not easy to do.
Right, absolutely. And, when you talk about wing T, a lot of people may see these plays and they just think, oh, they're run plays. But, Coach, we're going to talk about the 3 staple plays of the wing T, which is the trap. Let's talk about the trap first, Coach. So walk the average Joe football fan through the trap play.
Through the trap play. Oh, let's try. Wait, can we swap sides real quick?
Sure can.
Yeah, because I'm right-handed and I can't do it with my left hand. If they're going to run the trap, and Alexandria has a true fullback now, number 7, the Upton kid. Okay. He's their true fullback, so that makes a difference for them. This one could be either McGee or Ross. So they have 2 tailbacks that can also play quarterback. This kid right here, if it's number 1, it'd be McGee, and if it's number 3, it'll be Ross, which will be here. So the trap is easy. We're here and we're here.
And with the fullback getting the ball.
The fullback's going to get the ball.
Fullback's going to get the ball.
Quarterback's going to be here. So I just drew you up a little T here. So buck sweep would be with the back getting the ball. The trap's inside. Now, you wonder which side we run it to. Well, we can be here, 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 and pull that guy and trap. Right. Because Parker's probably going to give you a shaded nose and maybe a 4-eye. Well, they're going to trap this guy right here. Right. This guy right here better be a man-child. That's right. Now, as soon as they take this guy and read this guy, then they're going to get you with a trap. Because he's going to be stepping here, and he's going to lose his ear from that guy right there. That'll be the big lineman that they have, the offensive lineman. So, that's the trap play, and then they'll run the buck sweep. And I know we don't want to scribble all that, but the buck sweep, all this is all these guys are down, and they're going to take their 2 guards and pull them outside, and now you've got 2 people outside with Ross or McGee running the football.
Right, and the buck sweep is an alley play. It's an isolation in the C gap. So really, it looks like a sweep play, but that running back, he's reading that kick out of that first guard, and he's sticking his foot in the ground. He's getting north and south now.
He is, and for the guys from Parker that are going to have to play this play, this tight end blocking down and blocking down, as soon as you get that safety and that cornerback walking up into that C gap, then they're going to fake the buck sweep right here, or if they don't want to take the guard and pull him, they can run the power sweep, and they still run that play too, and then they just roll the quarterback out to him, and the tight end gets behind him, and the Z is here, and it's an easy pass because, remember, this guy can play quarterback too. So when you got a guy that can play tailback and he can also play quarterback and they both can throw, they're dangerous there.
And you referenced this earlier, Coach, and the thing that's so unique about this Alexandria offense, you haven't coached against Alexandria for so long, and I've coached against them a little bit, not as often as you have, but, in Alexandria teams of the past, you couldn't say, okay, well, Alexandria, I think we all know, people in this area are all familiar with Alexandria because they think tough kids, tradition, winners, that's what Alexandria does. But here's what Alexandria is not known for: spreading people out, moving people out of the box, okay? And that's something I wanted to talk about real quick with you is, we talked about wing T and kind of their bread and butter and what they can do, but, like you said, they're not changing personnel, and they're getting all these sets. So we're going to talk about just the trip set here. So let's say you got your H here, your X here, your Z here, okay, and you got your tailback here, okay? So not only is it an open formation, but it's an open formation, and they didn't take a single guy off the field. That's right. So, I mean, you're talking about if Parker's personnel and things, and if they're caught with a big guy in the game, oh wait, now we got to run that big guy off and we got to get another guy in. Yeah, and there's mass confusion.
There comes your delay game penalty.
Right, exactly, and that's something that is going to be a challenge for Parker defensively.
The challenge for Parker right here is going to be the number one thing that their sideline has got to make a choice is who's playing the quarterback. Is the quarterback number 16 for Alexandria? If it is, it's 98% pass. I mean, it is. It's 98% pass. But the dilemma is, oh, well, we know what they're going to run. Yeah, you may know what they're going to run, but when number 1 and number 3 are out here at these 2 spots, then you got to be able to cover the best 2 players on the field. Right. And then lo and behold, if they put one here and go smart and put one of them over here, then you've taken the whole field and spread it out. Right. But this guy if it's number 16, it's a throw and play. The only run play they run out of it is the inside trap or the power. Some people call it that, and with their fullback. Right. So you got to be real conscious when they line up in trips or trips open, or if you take this guy and bring him down here to the tight end, and we got trips tight. They can run if the quarterback is now number 1 or number 3. The other one's going to be the tailback beside him. Then it becomes a whole nother monster.
Right.
The plays that they can run. I mean, you got quarterback power, you got the counter. I mean, there's just so much that they can run out of those formations. They are going to give you a lot of formations, but not a lot of plays.
Right.
They're still running wing T plays right here when they get into the trips and trips open. And then when they get in, like I said, the one back stuff, they still run their inside trap. They run their power. They just run it with the quarterback instead of a traditional fullback and tailback.
Well, I think and you kind of referenced it, and so think about Alexandria's offense. A lot of formations, not a lot of plays. Now, when we're talking about Parker's offense, okay, Parker's kind of the opposite, okay. Really good tailback, really good quarterback. I think Coach Frank Warren, really good guy, really good football coach, doing a great job at Parker, okay. We're talking about the complete opposite with Parker's offense. We're talking about primarily open formations, okay? So we're talking doubles, okay? And we're talking trips, okay? So we're talking 2x2, which is a doubles formation, okay? And then you can just move this H over here and make it trips open, okay? And then they'll go some empty, okay? But make no bones about it, they want to run the football, and they have an exceptional tailback themselves. I mean, these two guys back here for Parker are not chopped liver by any means, okay? Their primary play is the GT counter, okay? So you're going to get down blocks on the play side. The center's going to block the back side, okay? The guard's going to pull and kick. The tackle's going to pull and wrap up on that linebacker. And usually they run it with a read element, okay? So the quarterback is reading this element. And everybody talks about RPO, read plays. Guys, it's, you can call it what you want to. It's triple option football, okay? Because down here they got a perimeter screen going where this guy's going to block, okay? So what the quarterback's going to do is he's going to stick the ball out and he's going to mesh with his tailback. Well, now he's got to make a decision, okay? If the end or the tackle comes upfield, he's going to give it to the tailback, okay? If this guy squeezes or closes space, he's going to pull it. Well, his next read is this flat defender. What's the flat defender doing? If he goes out and covers the screen, he's going to pull it and run, okay? If he steps to him, he's going to stand up, throw the screen out there. Okay, so a lot of different things from Parker, but it starts up front with the GT counter, in my eyes. Alexandria defensively, man, it's an interesting defense. 3-man front, and they play, what everybody, what coaches would know it as a bear front, okay, or a double eagle. You got a nose and 2-3 techniques, so they're covering up the inside part of the offense, okay, and then they'll have 2 outside linebackers walk down. Okay, so right now you have a 5-man front, okay? Well, what's kind of interesting, Coach, is they play with 1 backer in the middle.
And he plays a little deep in order to keep those backs and the linemen from getting to him.
Right, and so you got 6 guys, okay, within 7-8 yards of the ball. Well, then they got, 5 guys left. So it's corner, it's a safety, all right, it's another safety, and it's a corner. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, and now maybe they got another safety high, okay? So you're looking at a very unique matchup between Parker's offense and Alexandria's defense.
And as far as Alexandria is concerned, and all you fans that watch the ball game, be very concerned about watching the number 1 for Alexandria, number 3 for Alexandria, them playing both ways. If Parker is smart like I know they are, they'll do a lot of screen game early, take a lot of shots deep early to force these kids to run a long way and run a lot in the first quarter so this stuff opens up in the second half. But the thing that you got to watch for Alexandria is they're going to do a great job finding out where the mayor's son is at. Okay? They're going to find out the weak player out there on offense, and that's who they're going to attack.
Right.
So they're going to do a real good job of trying to push the middle here to stop this stuff.
Right.
Okay, and then they're going to do a good job of, because you could see some matchup, some man to one side, because they're going to find out in high school they may be good-looking guys out here, but they may not can catch a cold.
Right.
So why cover him? Right. So why be man-to-man on a guy that looks good and runs 100 in state track records, but he can't catch?
Right.
So Alexandria's going to figure that out and say, I'm not going to cover him. So instead of being out here man, he may slide him in here and cheat a little bit, and everybody's thinking, throw it to this guy. He can't catch, so we're not going to throw it to him. So they're going to do a good job alignment-wise of finding out which guys can't catch and find out the ones that can, and that's will decide where this guy's going. If these two are the dudes, he's going to be over here helping these, and these two right here will be, all right, y'all got them, y'all take care of it.
Right, and that's what we like to call cat coverage.
That's right.
That cat, you got that cat.
I called it that for a long time.
That's right. And, war of attrition, and like you talked about, Alexandria is going to play a ton of guys both ways. Okay, Parker doesn't play as many guys both ways. So it'll be interesting to see in the second half, in the fourth quarter, what this game looks like. Is Alexandria going to have enough in the tank? It's going to be a very, very good game, and I'm looking forward to seeing it, Coach, Friday night. I know Reggie's going to get him some Valley Dogs. You going to go get you a Valley Dog?
I've eaten them before, but they're not going to tell you guys what's on the recipe. It ain't going to happen.
That's right.
But I'm going to tell you about real quickly, and I know we got to get out of here, but one advantage that would be a big advantage for Alexandria is their kicking game to me.
Right.
Is the kicker, Cleet Forrest, can do a great job with his extra points and his field goals and punting. So it's going to rain Thursday night a lot. So Friday, it's not a turf field. So, and it's going to be cooler. So those guys right here at Alexandria has been playing basketball and football for years, and they run all the time. So it may not be as big a deal as we think it is. But can Parker come on the road in the second round, getting deeper in the playoffs? Can they come over here on this field that ain't going to have a lot of grass left on it and not slide down and things like that? So home field advantage is going to be very important in this game, in the kicking game, which I think Alexandria has the advantage in the kicking game.
Yeah, absolutely, Coach. Well, right now we're done, guys. We look forward to seeing y'all next week. We're going to send it over to Reggie, who's got the interview with Coach Todd Ginn. Thanks.
We understand an upside-down world. We understand a rogue virus, zero jobs, and stratospheric tuition. But they're writing us off before we get to the starting line. A stalled generation? Not so fast. Who do you think is going to fix all this? We will. We will because our future is the future. Because the life we have chosen has prepared us for this moment in history. So we're going to build bridges and hospitals in a day. We're going to save families from disaster and feed those left in the cold. We're going to do all this and more because we have an appointment with destiny. We invite you to join us. The next greatest generation is now.
Lou Scales Stadium. The Parker Thundering Herd have literally just pulled up to our right. Coaches and players kind of walked the field. And guys, we're going to go ahead and break down some more games before we get into our game of the week breakdown. But I can feel it in the air. The lights are on. The sun is setting. It's week 2 playoff football, guys.
It is.
But before we get into this Thundering Herd versus Valley Cub matchup tonight, let's go ahead and break down some 7A matchups. 9-2 Hewitt Trustful travels to an undefeated Hoover squad. What's going to happen here? Are the Buccaneers going to be able to advance, or are the Huskies going to be able to pull off a little upset?
I think Hoover hit their stride after that at that Thompson game. It's going to be a great matchup between two very good 7A teams. Familiar with both teams. I've seen them play this year. It's going to be a great matchup once again between all 7A Region 3 teams in the second round of the playoffs.
Oak Mountain 7-4, traveling to a nationally ranked Thompson squad, currently sitting at 10-2. Have to go to Alabaster, to Thompson. What can Oak Mountain do to upset Thompson's ring-chasing mentality that they've got in place?
Well, first and foremost, the two-time defending state champion, 7A Thompson, like you talked about, was nationally ranked, got upset by Hoover because Connor Harrell was injured, right? So if Connor Harrell don't get hurt, they won. They're gonna win that game going away. They
Big moment for Hoover. Big moment for Hoover. Obviously, you never want something like that to happen, but they took advantage of that opportunity.
It's 21-10 when he went out. They were going to win going away. Yeah. Same thing in the state championship last year.
Well,
going to win going away. Let me finish. Now,
here we go.
Here's the funny stat. Evan Smith, dynamic player, one of the most underrated players in the state, quarterback from Oak Mountain. He's a 3-star, can do it all. Little undersized, going up against the toughest defense, I believe, that we've seen in this state in a while, that Thompson defense this year. Jeremiah Alexander's #1 player in the state. They got Hill, who's a 5-star. They got Traquan Fagan's a 4-star. They got everywhere you look. I mean, unbelievable. They have 5 shutouts on the season. They've outscored their opponents 518-60 in 7A. Now, none of that means anything if Connor Harrell's not healthy. But guess what? Connor Harrell is playing tonight. He's going to be back in the lineup. And here's a funny stat. If Oak Mountain didn't go beat the #1 seed last week, Thompson will be on the road at James Clemens tonight. That was huge.
Huge moment. Some of these teams live for those moments. But we've got some 4A squads that we need to look at that have got some pretty big setups here, some pretty big moments or potential big moments tonight. Let's go ahead, Josh, and look at this Bibb County traveling to Handley game. Bibb County 9-2 traveling to Handley, who currently sit at 8-2. What can Larry Strain and the gang do to prevent Bibb County from upsetting this Handley squad?
I think one of the most important things they can do, they've already done. It's at Handley. Let me give you a
Huge
stat.
advantage.
Yeah, Bibb County was 8-0 at home this year. They only played 3 games on the road this year, and they went 2-1. So I think being at Handley is going to be huge. Handley's 5-1 at home. Coach Strain, he always puts things together. He's got a great game plan. Just an all-around great guy. We've talked to him several times. Bibb County, right now, they are riding a 5-game win streak. Handley, in their last 4 games, 2-2. So you got one that's on the way up and one that's kind of teetering because, Handley looked unbeatable at the start of the season.
They did.
But in the last 4 games, they've lost 2. So
if you had seen Handley at that Piedmont 7-on-7 this summer, you would have bet your house that they would have been back at the dance this year in 4A.
And what they did to Gunnersville.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And see, Handley was at the Central Clay 7-on-7 as well. So I've seen that one.
Well, let's go ahead and look at this Good Hope at Northside matchup. Guys, last year Good Hope graduates over 20 seniors off this squad, and they come back and they're in round 2 again. That just speaks to the level of coaching that's up there for the Good Hope Raiders. 8-3 traveling to a 10-1 Northside squad. What do we have here?
Well, those who are real big fans of Average Joe's are, we're Etowah heavy. This team beat Etowah this year. They're at 8-1 down the stretch, but that one loss was a crushing loss to Aniana when they had everything to play for.
Yep.
They lost that game, so a lot of people thought they were going to lose last week with their heads down after that loss late in the season to Aniana, which was the last game of the year. But they actually come out and they beat Central Florence 27-24. The thing about that is that's, huge to get them refocused, and now do they carry that over into this week? And when you talk about carrying it over into this week, they're playing Northside. Northside beat the defending North representative in 4A last year. They've already beat Gordo this year.
They did.
Northside's a good football team. They're 2-0 all-time versus Good Hope. That's another little stat to keep and put in your pocket. Now, they've also won 9 straight games. So here it is. Can that momentum from that last week carry Good Hope into this game with some confidence enough to beat this Northside team? Because I'm going to tell you something. This is the region champs. They're very good. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. This game's a toss-up. But Good Hope they're going to have to play with their hair on fire to beat this team.
If it's one thing that a lot of those teams out of Coleman County can do, it's play with their hair on fire. But let's go ahead and talk about this 9-2 Gordo squad traveling to Aniana in Blount County tonight. 10-1, the Redskins hosting Gordo. Gordo known, at least in recent years past, for their quarterback play and their explosive offense. What can this Aniana defense do to try to contain Gordo and get out of here with a Week 2 win?
Well,
round 2 wins.
Yes, they have to deal with the quarterback, but also they have a running back, Rayshon Williams. He last week ran for 148 yards and 3 touchdowns in their win against I can't remember who they played last week, but anyway, he ran for those yards. And penalties is going to be a huge issue for Gordo. That hurt them some last week. They still got away with the win, but against a team like Aniana, you cannot make a mistake because Aniana is going to take advantage. And
that Phil Phillips coached Aniana Redskins team is going to be well disciplined, well coached.
Yep.
You can look at them on film. They are some of the. When you look at their offensive line, when you look at their defensive line especially, it's incredible what they can do with what they've got. Not to say that they don't have athletes, but they are incredibly disciplined and they know how to go in and
they get the absolute most out of everyone.
Every single player.
One of the most beautiful stadiums as well.
Absolutely.
Right, and that's why you cannot have a bunch of penalties against that squad because they will take full advantage of it and run away with it. So knowing Ryan Lawley at Gordo and the way he coaches his team, he fix those mistakes this week. It's going to be a great ball game.
Priceville, 10-1, picked up a victory against Etowah last week, traveling to Madison Academy, sitting at 10-1. What can Priceville do against the Madison Academy Mustangs?
You got to look at this game very objectively. Here's the deal. Priceville, a lot of people thought that Etowah was going to roll up there and just roll through them. Didn't happen. Matter of fact, they won double digits. They won 31-14. Priceville's for real. And I think they're going to prove that tonight. Here's the thing about them. Not a lot of people know a lot about them. These two teams actually have never met. But let me throw a stat at you that's pretty phenomenal. They've outscored their opponents this year 439 to 210. That's a recipe for success. You're doubling up your opponents. Mm-hmm. But now here's the problem. You're playing Madison Academy. Madison Academy is no stranger to the playoffs or state championships.
They know exactly how to win.
Absolutely.
That's huge.
Absolutely. Bob Goolsby, the head coach there, listen to this. Their only loss this year is to Briarwood, who I will be going to watch in person tonight, who literally has a chance to beat Clay Chalkville. That's their only loss this year. Briarwood's ran through everybody else like they're nothing. They've outscored their opponents 455 to 132. So think about that for a minute. Madison Academy's for real. This is two very good football teams about to battle. Region champs and 4A Region 7. Here's the thing about it. Last week they won 55 to nothing over Hamilton. This game is going to be a high-end game, very skill-oriented. Both teams have athletes, but the thing about it is who wants it more. Yeah. Madison Academy's been there and done that. Priceville not so much to this point, but we will see.
Two sets of stats, two teams, one big moment tonight. Let's finish up our last game in 4A. Look at these records, guys. A 10-1 Randolph team traveling to an undefeated Brooks. What do we have here?
Well, Randolph on the season has been really impressive. They've been steady all throughout. They've outscored their opponents 407 to 130. Now, they were the region runner-ups to, guess who? Madison Academy. Now, if you take away the Madison Academy game, they've only been giving up 8 points a game, which is phenomenal. So they kind of hang their hat on their defense. Here's what they have coming against them, though, this year. Brooks is an offensive-oriented team. They've outscored their opponents 376 to 110. They like to fast-paced. They like to throw the ball a lot. Let me throw these stats at you right fast. Kyler Merckx, their quarterback's thrown for 2,182 yards, completing right at 70% of his passes, 23 touchdowns to only 3 picks. He has a receiver. We're going to call him Newt Wood. All right, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm going to call it Newt Wood. He's got 1,400 yards receiving on 67 receptions and 18 touchdowns. They will let it fly, and they run a high-octane, explosive offense where they throw a lot of vertical passes from what I've seen. They're not scared to throw it deep or take chances. So here it is. You have this Randolph stingy defense. They want to grind it out, play really good defense versus this high-octane offense. Great playoff matchup.
And here we are moving on to 5A. Centerpoint 8-3 travels to a 6-4 Ramsey squad. Don't let that 6-4 fool you, Reggie. And why is that?
Ramsey came out of a very tough region. They were in a region with Pleasant Grove and the Parker Thunder and Herd. Very tough and a very good Fairfield squad, too. Fairfield, that region almost swept. They went 3-1 last week in the first round. Fairfield lost by 2 points on the last second play. This is a very dangerous Ramsey team. They go up to Gunnersville last week, beat them 28-20. A very good Gunnersville team. Nobody saw that coming. Coach George Bates, his team started out the year kind of slow. They started out 0-2. They hit their stride after those first 2 losses, and they've won their last 6 of 7 games. Those guys are clicking right there at center point, and Coach Bates has got his guys fired up. That's going to be a great game at center point tonight.
Well, we've got this next matchup, the Fighting Danny Horns of Clay County.
Danny Horn.
Travel, who are 9-2, by the way, travel to Faith Academy, another 6-4 squad. What does this matchup mean for Danny Horn and this Clay County team? What are we going to get out of this matchup tonight?
I'll tell you this. The 6-4 record, that's an optical illusion. That's not true. Faith Academy, their 4 losses, they had 1 loss by 1 point, 1 loss by 2, 1 loss by 3, and then they had an 8-point loss. All 1-possession games to pretty good teams. So now they do have a lot of talent. They've got a defensive end, Shamar James, who's 6'2", 220, who was selected to the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game. If allowed to, he can change a game. Central Clay will need to plan to stop him or to take him out of the play. Central Clay, and I'm going to kind of get on a soapbox here for a second. Central Clay has been overlooked by some of these committees because I'll tell you, each and every year they have the caliber of talent that should be considered for the North-South game, the Alabama-Mississippi All-Star game, and they're getting overlooked. Same thing this year with Elisha McNeil. Central Clay's defensive back, safety, running back, athlete, he belongs in one of these games, but he didn't get a spot. So I will say this, Central Clay, they will be ready for this game. I think from what I've seen, there was a few people that picked against them that have predicted them to lose. Danny Horn is 14-1 in the playoffs since 2018. Central Clay will not be phased on the road. They won't let the magnitude of this game ever get too big for them. They're just going to continue to play Central Clay ball, which is actually just a really good mix of run and pass. They're a team that can go 4 and 5 wide, and then they can get in the bone and run it. So it's a really hard offense to plan for, but they'll be ready. But I think this will be a very tough test for Central Clay.
Central Clay getting ready to go to Faith Academy. But what about 10-1 Fairview traveling to 9-2 Russellville? Reggie, what do you have for us there?
Traditionally, Russell was a very, very proud program, very great program. They're in the playoffs every year. They make deep runs. They've played for the state championship in the past. Great program. Coach John Ritter has done a great job keeping that Russellville tradition going. Fairview, on the other hand, Coach George Redding's been there for 15 years. He's got this program clicking. They have made they're a team to watch out for in the North 5A every year. So this is going to be a very interesting game. You kind of got the new kid on the block versus the old kid on the block. So I'm kind of excited to see how this one's going to turn out.
Let's go ahead. Another 10-1 team and another 9-win team battling it out in 5A. Leeds 10-1 traveling to Pleasant Grove, coached by Darryl LeBeau. Cousin to Frank Warren, who's going to be coaching on this field tonight. Frank Warren, the head coach of the Parker Thundering Herd, both former players at Pleasant Grove. But let's get some insight here, Bo, into what the Green Wave are going to have to do to Pleasant Grove to get the win.
Well, it's like this. Speaking of Darryl LeBeau, he's coached by Scott Martin, who's formerly here at Ohatchee, who also coached Ed Reed, same high school, Deshler Hammond, Louisiana. Very proud school over there. Now, LeBeau and them's on a mission. They've lost in the state championship game the last 2 years. This year, Alex Young has 1,600 yards passing, 25 touchdowns, only 2 picks. DeMarcus Lacey may be the most explosive player in the state. If you've ever watched him play in person, and Josh and I have, he's number 1, the running back at Pleasant Grove. Unbelievable.
Very good.
1 foot in the dirt, north-south. Unbelievable. Now, Gavion Henderson, which I've talked about a lot, I think is going to be the best defensive in the year. In 2 years, he'll be the best defensive player in the state. He's a sophomore right now. He graduates in 24. 6'3", 225 defensive end from Leeds is their best football player. The problem is, on this very field, I think Leeds got exposed. and they got exposed bad on this field.
The game plan is there for anybody that wants to take them down.
Right.
Alexandria laid the groundwork.
And they're going to watch that athlete for athlete. Pleasant Grove's got more athletes than Alexandria. I don't think it's going to be tough sledding for Leeds tonight.
Yeah.
What Alexandria's got's grit, though. That's the difference in those two teams. But we'll get to that later if we get to that matchup. Next game.
Next game, St. Paul's 8-3 traveling to an undefeated Pike Road squad currently sitting at 10-0. What can St. Paul's do to try to upset, talking about new kids on the block, this team knows how to win, but relatively speaking, in terms of the history of football in Alabama, they're the new kid on the block, especially in the playoff arena.
Pike Road, who's that quarterback down there? Is he any good?
You better find out. Who Josh just mentioned is Iverson Hooks, is very familiar with our show. I actually talked to Iverson and his brother this week. Coach Browning has these guys rolling this year. Iverson Hooks, multi-time player of the state in his performances this year. Throw a little stat at you. They hung 76 on McGill-Tulane this year in the opener.
Wow.
They've outscored their opponents 495-11 this year. Judkins, their running back, Quinshawn Judkins, has offers from everybody. They are loaded to the gills on offense. Very explosive team at all areas on offense. They are the new kids on the block. And now St. Paul's won the state championship last year. They have a lot of pride. They're 8-3. They don't look like the same team this year. Now, they are the defending state champs. They won last week 36-0 over Selma. Good win for them, but this Pike Road team, you're not going to hold them to zero. They're going to score points. Can you score with this Pike Road team? Yep. Pike Road will put you in a shootout. They scored 60 on Catholic Montgomery last year, who's given up 22 points all season this year. Yeah. Same defense. They just grown up a little bit. I don't know. This is going to be –
It's going to be a great game.
It's going to be a great game, and at the end of the day, it's going to be who wants it more.
Exactly.
That's what we're talking about. New kid on the block versus old rugged veteran.
And, we've seen that a lot tonight in our breakdowns. But, guys, that's it. As far as our breakdowns go, we've got one game left, gentlemen, one game left. And when we come back from this interview that Reggie Davis did with Coach Todd Ginn of the Alexandria Valley Clubs in our weekly Coaches Conversation segment, we're going to break down our game of the week presented by the Alabama Army National Guard. It's the Parker Thundering Herd at Alexandria here on this field. We're going to break that coming out of the break, so stay tuned for that. You're watching Road to the Blue Map presented by the Alabama Army National Guard. Now check out this interview with Reggie Davis and Todd Ginn.
All right, guys, we are here with Alexandria coach Todd Ginn. We got a huge matchup tonight with the Parker Thundering Herd and the Alexandria Valley Cubs. Coach Ginn, talk to us about this game tonight and how big it is and how important it is for you guys in the Alexandria community.
Well, it's another. I think the fact that we got to play Leeds here earlier in that matchup prepared us for just another big game. I thought that Leeds game was a playoff type atmosphere, and I think tonight's going to be one of those games that I think a lot of people are talking about in the state, and I think they've got a really, really good team. We've got a good ball team, and tonight's going to come down to who inevitably puts the game plan together and makes the most plays.
You guys have been in a couple tough games this season. You finished undefeated, and right now the Alexandria community I know is very excited. I've been here, and talk about the community and how that support is important. Not just for you, but for the guys out there on the field.
Yeah, well, this community loves its sports. This community really loves its sports. They come out. There'll be people all over the place tonight. Later, and people just love whatever sport we're in here. They love it, and they come out and support it. And as far it's got to feel good. I remember when I played here in '97 when I graduated. Just knowing you really sometimes get spoiled.
Yeah.
Because you look across the way and you see how, you just think you're from Alexandria. People travel well. We're going to bring a crowd. We're going to pack it out when we're playing here. And then you look across a lot of times and you're like, man,
Yeah.
And, we're kind of spoiled around here because our people love to come out and support these kids, and our kids love to, my dad always said a long time ago, it's a little bit harder in the playoffs because they charge so much money. But
That's true.
He said, you say, make sure that every fan feels like they got their money's worth. So what he's talking about is not the win and loss part of it, but the effort part of it. And that's what I hope for our guys tonight. I hope that they play hard, and play with, you know, confidence and effort so that everybody here is proud of them. And you know, win or lose, they're proud of them because of the way they play.
Right. Before we end this interview, talk to us about some of the players we can look out for tonight on the offensive and the defensive side of the ball.
Well, you know, for us, yeah, for us, you know, of course, you got, you know, Javez is going to be key for us to be able to do what we need to do. Antonio will be key. Line's going to be a big deal on offense. Now, both sides. I think the offensive line for us tonight, blocking these guys, and then the defensive line, you know, we're going to have to hem up their running back. They got two quality running backs, one big one, one you know, kind of scat back, and then the quarterback. You know, that's one of those things. Different game plan tonight because of the capability that the quarterback has to hurt you with his legs. You know, their best plays a lot of times are pass, breakdown, he scrambles. So, you know, just knowing that and being ready, I think we'll be ready. I think we're going to have people in positions to make plays, but you can't get a quality look of what these guys are going to look like on the scout team. You just can't. You know, our scout team does a great job during the week, but you can't get a quality look at what these guys are going to see when it comes live action.
All right. Well, Coach, I appreciate you. Good luck to you guys tonight, and we're looking forward to a great game.
Man, I appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name's Staff Sergeant Ergel.
And my name's Staff Sergeant Aldridge.
And we're here today with the Alabama Army National Guard.
Fun fact, do you know what football cleats and combat boots have in common? They both need to be filled.
That's right, Sergeant Aldridge. And at the Alabama Army National Guard, we're looking for qualified individuals to join our team.
In exchange for your part-time service, we offer over $20,000 a year in tuition assistance, over 200 job opportunities with hands-on training in a field of your choice.
With the Alabama Army National Guard, you can work here, live here, and serve here.
If you are interested in learning more about what the Alabama Army National Guard has to offer, give us a call at one of the numbers down below. And remember,
go Guard!
Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen. It's Road to the Blue Mat presented by the Alabama Army National Guard. Here we are with our Game of the Week breakdown, again presented by the Alabama Army National Guard. We have the Parker Thundering Herd here at Alexandria to take on the Valley Cubs. The Thundering Herd, 10-1, led by Frank Warren in 5A Region 5, currently ranked number 7 in the Alabama Sports Writers Association's poll in 5A. Traveling here, like I said, to Alexandria, currently undefeated, led by the legend himself, Todd Ginn, in 5A Region 6, currently ranked number 3 in the ASWA poll. Their last loss was to Pleasant Grove in the third round in 2020, which was a 7-35 loss. And they defeated Parker last year at Parker in the second round, 32-21. They have outscored their opponents by a significant amount. I'm going to let y'all get to those specifics, but guys, these are some things that we need to really look at here when it comes to this Alexandria football program and the history of winning here. They have 99 All-State players, 18 region championships, and this is their 99th season of high school football in the state. And Todd Ginn, the guy leading this program, had a huge impact on where this program is now. When you look at what those teams that he played on did in 1995 and 1997. They're 48-41 against ranked opponents since 1984, and they're 56-32 in the playoffs. Bo, kick us off in this breakdown here. What are we going to see in our game of the week from the Thundering Herd and the Valley Cubs?
Well, the first thing you're going to see is because we're on this field, you're going to see a lot of heart and effort and grit from these guys. They play at a different level at home. Todd Ginn has these guys bought into this program. They're really elite. But let me show you what they're facing tonight. They're playing a team that has 2 1,000-yard rushers, okay? Let me throw that at you right now, 2 1,000-yard rushers. Khalifa Keith has 1,400 yards and 22 touchdowns on the season. He's also flanked by Jawan Midfield, who has 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns on the season. Now, oh, by the way, the quarterback, Will Shelton, is a 200 and 400-meter state champion sprinter, okay? So not only can he throw it, he's thrown for 1,500 yards. He can rush it. He rushed for 400 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he's thrown for 19 touchdowns. So here's the deal. If they got all 3 of those guys in the backfield, what do you do? It's going to look very similar to what Alexandria does with so many different weapons. But I'm going to pass it on to the next guy because it's look at Joshua.
Reggie, hit him with the pin.
I'm over, I'm over here just like,
He's
not so fast, my friend.
There it
not
is.
so fast,
there
my
it
friend.
is.
Alexandria counters with Javez McGee, Antonio Ross, Jake Upton. Shall I keep going? Ryan West. They've got a plethora of athletes. And in front of those athletes, making a way for that, you've got a amazing offensive line led by Damon Parr and Justin Cromer. And on the defensive side of the ball, again, that's what sets Alexandria apart is their offensive line, their defensive line. Not for those guys, this may be a different looking team. There's athletes everywhere. They're consistent. They're business-like. Coach Ginn's going to have these guys ready to go.
Josh is ready.
I completely agree with what Reggie said. I will say this, like you said, the offensive and defensive lines are so important and
massive.
Here, they don't get a lot of love.
They don't,
but they're okay with that. I mean, that's kind of the nature of the beast.
Josh, they do in that film room right over there.
They do.
Yeah,
that's where they get. That's where they get noticed.
Yeah.
Now, real quick, I want to make a note of something here in this breakdown. You look at the athletes, you look at the coaches. Each team has athletes. Each team is incredibly well coached. Yep. But when you look at depth, the obvious advantage is for the Parker Thundering Herd here.
Yes, that is true.
Alexandria, they don't. There's not a lot once you get off the field, and if something goes wrong, that's going to hurt the Valley Cubs. That's something that the Thundering Herd has over the Valley Cubs here.
Real quick
in Death
counter
Valley.
on that. I think where we're sitting and that juice that these guys
it's the
behind
home field
us is
advantage.
That I think is going to play into that. But go ahead, Reggie.
And also, these guys have not played into the fourth quarter a lot this year. So these younger guys on the Alexandria team have gotten a lot of playing time in the second half of each game they played.
There's something to say about experience. Guys, I think that's going to do it for us here in Death Valley in Alexandria at Lou Scales Stadium, Week 2 of Road to the Blue Map presented by the Alabama Army National Guard.
What an amazing lineup of games we got this week.
This is great.
I'm going to tell you, hats off to the Birmingham City Schools before we go, because there was a time when high school football was dead in the city of Birmingham. They are
represented.
It's alive and well.
You're right, Reggie. That's a good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point. That's a really good point.
I'm really excited to see how some of these games turn out.
Me too.
It's going to be a fun night. Folks, stay tuned to the Road to the Blue Map halftime update presented by the Alabama Army National Guard. At the halftime of this game here, our game of the week, the Parker Thundering Herd at the Alexandria Valley Cubs. For Bo Starkey, Reggie Davis, Josh Abercrombie, Clint Thompson, Caleb Payne, Aaron Garvick, and Jake Morton, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate it, and we'll see you next week.